I watched the XFL Draft today, and I got to tell you, watching it felt a little bit more like a bidding auction at a local town hall than it did a draft. And so what it was is you had these different phases, right? Well, first of all, one of the things that they did was they assigned a quarterback to every football team, okay? And then what they did was they had these phases, and it was a lottery system similar to the NBA, right? And then you had these phases and what they call skill positions. And, you know, for your first phase, you could choose out of this position, and then your next phase, you could choose out of that position. And then they had like 90 seconds, and then they had like 3 minutes. And it was a little confusing, but it was also exceptionally boring. When you've got 90 seconds, do you have the ability to really go ahead and make a trade for something, right? I mean, is that even a possibility in this XFL draft? And what they would do is they would draft a player, and they would say, we're going to draft Connor Cook out of Michigan State, for instance. And then they're going to say, okay, you select Connor Cook, Michigan State quarterback. Confirmed? And then they would say, confirmed, and then that would be it. I mean, and then you're watching it, and you had to be on the website, which, by the way, they advertised it as being on their Twitter and their Instagram Live, and it wasn't, at least not that I saw. And so I went to the website. I watched it on the website, and what it is literally you can see the guy working the computer screen, right? And he's, you know, selecting who's next and who's doing what. And then in this little picture-in-a-picture box, that's where you have like almost a fisheye lens view of who's next. And in some of the shots, it was so far back because they're trying to get an image of everybody in this room that you could not tell what you were looking at, who you were looking at. I mean, I just gave the XFL a bit of, you know, hey, you guys might want to be breathing down the NFL's neck right now and take some real hard opportunities because their officiating is horrendous this year, and people don't like the way this looks. And to them, this is why they think sports is now rigged, right? So I give them that compliment, and now it looks like a town hall boardroom meeting. I mean, seriously, I've seen auctions that are more exciting than that. You know, there was, at least at an auction, you get a guy, you know, whatever the hell he's doing, right? This was nonsense. This was awful. And you know me, like usually I'm the guy who's like, okay, what is the good aspect of this? And I'm sitting here and I'm literally trying to think of anything. And I'm like, there's nothing entertaining about this, which I understand football doesn't necessarily have to be entertaining. A lot of people say that I do an old school program, and I do. And to a lot of people, that's not entertaining. But when I watch sporting events and when I watch anything attached to sport, especially when Vince McMahon is involved in it, I expect something. And look, I think a big part of it, if I'm being fair, has to do with the fact that Vince McMahon took so much hell for the last XFL debacle, right? You know, he started turning it in, you know, he started having these backstage things going on, and you know, they started turning it into WWE stuff, and, you know, to football fans, that's not football. And so now he's looking very more boardroom meeting, and I didn't like it. It looked like a town hall auction. I mean, it was literally just, the pace, I guess you could say, is good in a way because, hey, look, if we're not going to do anything, then why should we take 15 minutes to decide? We know who we're going to pick. You know, we got 90 seconds. Part of that is okay. And it could bring an excitement level if you decide, hey, we're going to go with a trade. Boom. You know, you want to do it or not? You want to do it or not? You know? And it's kind of one of those where you could play some chess matches. But in this instance, given what I saw, wasn't a lot of that. And it was very mundane. In terms of the players, the athletes, look, I think the talent pool is going to be very good. A lot of you are going to recognize some of the names from some all-star college football players who may be a little past their prime. Obviously, you know, some guys that have been 5 and 10 years out. You know, you've got names like, you know, Connor Cook that I still think resonate recently with us because of his fairly recent success with, you know, the Michigan State Spartans, a little bit of time with the Raiders, but overall, yeah, Marquise Williams is a quarterback that I'm excited to see out of North Carolina. I didn't see anything with Elijah Hood, though. I don't know what it was about him. He was my favorite running back in college football while he was at North Carolina. I loved watching him and Marquise Williams play at UNC together. I thought that they were a really great tandem. And Elijah Hood also with the Raiders for a little while. 7th round pick, if I remember correctly. But I think the talent pool is going to be good. And I think it's going to be a little bit better than what people anticipate this time around. And I do like the fact, I will say this, that they are doing a draft that is accessible on the website to everybody. But I don't know why at 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, that's why it has a boardroom, town hall feel to it. 10 o'clock in the morning? Man, wait till everybody's home. I mean, there's no football on tonight. You're not competing with anybody. It's Tuesday night. I mean, what are you scared of? When does NXT air? I mean, is that what you're afraid of, taking away from NXT? You know, I mean, come on. You're going to have to learn how to separate your two businesses. I mean, that's just all there is to it. That's the fatal mistake that Vince McMahon, I think, could be making this time around. I mean, what time are the football games going to air? You know, you're doing this stuff at 10 o'clock in the morning. You're doing pressers at 1 in the afternoon. You know, I mean, these are very bad times to be doing these things. You want to maximize your potential. You want to maximize your visibility. You're going to have to do it during prime time. And I understand the XFL is trying a lot of new, different, and exciting things. And I understand that a lot of these owners probably have other business ventures. But by the same token, NFL owners also probably have a lot of other business ventures. In fact, it's duly noted that most of them do. I mean, Jerry Jones, you know, oil tycoon. Come on. So if they're willing to show up at night to do these things, you're going to have to learn to do the same. And you're going to have to not be scared of pulling away from your wrestling audience. I know that AEW seems to be breathing down your neck right now, but if you want to make this thing work, you're going to have to make that adjustment, period. It could be a fatal mistake. And I understand that they can do press releases and they can put stuff on social media, and I think that might be what they're banking on. Social media. You know, let's run this thing into the ground through social media. Camp starts in December, you know, but I just, to me, when I look at it, bottom line is it felt like a boardroom or town hall auction. I did like the rapid pace. I don't like the assignment of quarterbacks. And I don't like the time that it's aired. I think that they need to do better with those. But regardless, I guess it's a we'll see. We'll see. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of SINC 57. You are able to listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply to your device to play SINC 57 by Drew Duncan. You can find us on social media. That is at SINC Sports 57 across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, you can find myself, Drew Duncan, at Drew Duncan Radio across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And SINC Sports is on YouTube as well. Simply look for SINC 57. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.